Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel and welcome to a recommendation video. So today I'm going to be recommending some books that feature asexual and demisexual representation. And there's been a lot of discourse in the book community online at the moment because a certain author has been popping off again, and I thought it was the perfect time to go through a list of books that I have that feature asexual and demisexual representation very quickly, just so they're all compiled in one place. Now, asexual and demisexual are not the only two identities on the ace spectrum, and asexuality is a spectrum and you can move up and down it at all the times. We love ourselves a spectrum. The reason I'm recommending books from those two particular identities is because they're the ones I mostly have recommendations for, also they're the ones that I'm most familiar with. And of course, I'm always on the lookout for more books that feature representation of the other identities on the ace spectrum as well, because we like to be well-rounded individuals. But this is where we're starting, and hopefully we can add to this list in the future. If you are someone who is not at all familiar with the ace spectrum and what the different terms mean, I'm going to leave a link to the -18 website down below. They are a fantastic organisation here in Australia that work with queer youth, and they have some really great information on their website. I've broken down these books into genre categories. I'm going to go through them fairly quickly in that I've talked about all of these books on my channel somewhere at some point, so I'm literally going to give you the category, the title, and the author. And if you'd like more information, you can go through and search my channel for my more in-depth thoughts. Otherwise, we'd be here for ages. So starting off with some non-fiction, there is the graphic memoir Genderqueer by Maya Kabare, which is a really great place to start. It is the author's graphic memoir. So that's a really great place if you are someone who likes memoirs and you like graphic memoirs. Otherwise, a book that I think is a really great starting place as a general non-fiction is Ace, What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex by Angela Chen. This is a really, really great little resource and a great place to start. There are, of course, other titles, but this is the one that I have read so far, and I've got a few more on my radar. Another book which is not specifically ace, but does feature sections on asexuality and asexuality within history is Kinky History by Esme Louise James. This is a look at sex through history, through famous individuals, how our perceptions of sex have changed over time, but there is a section in here on asexuality and the fact that it has been around for a long time. All right, so moving into some books featuring asexual characters, we're going to start off with some middle grade and YA recommendations. A great place to start is Darcie Little Badger's book. So there's Elatsoe and A Snake Falls to Earth. Both of these are great, and they also feature Lipan Apache representation as well. There is Rick by Alex Gino. Alex Gino writes queer middle fiction stories, and this is a great place to start, as well as Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Strickland, which is a young adult fantasy story. This one is very atmospheric and I highly recommend it. If we move into historical fantasy, there is a book called She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. I will say this one is quite a dense historical fantasy story. It also features sapphic representation, but it's great if you kind of like those really heavy historical stories. Moving into sci-fi, we have the Murderbot Diaries series by Martha Wells, kicking off with All Systems Red. This is really topical. If you've seen the trailer for the TV show, it looks great and I can't wait for it, but our character is asexual. It also features a romantic representation as well. Someone in the sci-fi space who constantly is featuring different ace identities is Becky Chambers. Most, if not all of her books feature at least major side characters who are ace or a romantic. They're all great. So there is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which is the first book in the Wayfarer series. There is To Be Taught If Fortunate, which is a very short novella. This is a really quirky little space story and I absolutely adored it. And then there is her Monk and Robot series, A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy, also featuring ace rep. In paranormal romance, unsurprisingly, I'm going to re-recommend Heartsong by TJ Klune, which is the third book in the Green Creek series. Highly recommend this one. This love story in here is my absolute favorite of the entire series. It will make you cry though. And also Of the Wild by E. Wambeim as well, which is a really short little novella, and it is just beautiful and 100% will make you cry. Asexual Rep in hockey romances. I was trying to remember, I thought I had more than this, but at the moment what I've got on the list is Scoreless Game by L.A. Witt and Anna Zabo, which is part of a 2-book series that the two of them have. And this is two best friends, one of whom is ace and one of whom is in love with the other person. It's a very complicated dynamic. And then in contemporary romance, there is Upside Down by N.R. Walker, which was probably one of the very first books that I ever read that featured an ace relationship. And this is two ace characters falling in love, and it is so sweet and adorable. Also, I'm going to mention N.R. Walker again later, but N.R. Walker is ace and has talked about it in interviews and things like that, and her books are just really great. And this is a really good starting point if you like contemporary romance and would like to read an ace couple figuring themselves out, especially a character who's just figuring out that he's ace. There is also Friendly Fire by Saxon James. A really gorgeous little tiny novella series is Ada Maria Soto's His Quiet Agent and Agents of Winter, which is about a spy and someone else who works in the office where the spy works. Another really fantastic series, but is quite heavy on themes, is McCade, which is a police procedural serial kind of story. One, there's a lot of rep in here. There's a lot of queer rep. There's a lot of general diverse representation of identities, but it also looks at and challenges the ideas of the police force from people who are minorities within the police force. So it's a really, really interesting series. It does get very full on though, but I cannot recommend it enough. All right, then moving into some demisexual recommendations, starting with historical romance. So close without an editing clip. The first book is Two Rogues Make a Right by Kate Sebastian. I said the title wrong, because of course I did. Kate Sebastian is pretty fantastic across the board and is one of the few historical romance authors that I will read without hesitation. In contemporary romance, we have Alison Cochrun, who writes quite a few characters who are demisexual. You have The Charm Offensive and Kiss Her Once for Me, both feature that rep. The Charm Offensive should have been in ace contemporary romances, whereas Kiss Her Once for Me is demisexual rep. I just was writing down a list of authors and I forgot to move it around in my notes. Oops. There is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. Make Me Stay by Annabeth Albert. Annabeth Albert is also pretty good at featuring diverse queer representation in their books, and I know I have a few more that feature ace or demisexual characters. I just couldn't remember which ones they were, so Make Me Stay was the one that I remembered. One of my favourite books of all time is Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. The male character in this one discovers that he's demisexual through developing his friendship and relationship with the female character. And it's great. Also, like, he's in his 50s, early 50s, and figuring that out for the first time. Like, it's great representation. There is The Dating Disaster by Saxon James, which features demisexual rep. Done It All by Evie Mitchell, which came out at the end of last year, also features this rep. Chloe Leese also features a lot of demisexual rep, because that is, I think from memory, is her own experience. Specifically in the Wilmot Sisters series, The Two Wrongs Make a Right and Better Hate Than Never both feature characters who are demisexual. I do have another Chloe Leese, but I'm going to switch categories into holiday romances. The Mistletoe Motive also features demisexual rep, and it's great. This is a fantastic little Christmas novella that I love reading at Christmas time. Like, it's just so comforting. And then another one, and this is holiday romance, there is some magic in it, so it kind of straddles that line between magical realism and paranormal romance, is From Snowball Fights to Hot Summer Nights by Ren K. Morris, which not only features demisexual representation, but also polyamorous rep as well. In Paranormal, Chase Verity has Match with a Demon, which was really fun. I have more hockey romances, because of course I do. There is Let's Do This by Lauren Lee, which was a book that I read this year or last year. Oh, I can't remember when it was. Amy Aislinn has a couple of books in her Stickside series that feature demisexual rep. On the Ice is the first book in the series that features it, and then Shots on Goal as well. This is also a really fun series, and I really like Amy Aislinn's writing style. Rachel Reed has Time to Shine, which is a really great book about a character who is figuring out not only that he likes guys, but that he's also demisexual and what that means for him. Eden Finley and Saxon James have demisexual rep in Goal Lines and First Times, which is the third book in the CU Hockey series, and I desperately need to do a reread of the series. And the final book I'm going to talk about doesn't necessarily have explicitly stated demisexual representation on page, but to me, as someone who identifies as demisexual, it reads like it. I think that's okay as well to recommend that way, because that is also a valid experience, and it is Gravity by Tal Bauer. And the character I'm thinking of is Hunter, who really hasn't had any relationships, and then he forms this incredible relationship, first as a friend with Bryce, and then everything progresses from there. And to me, that read very much like demisexual on page without being explicitly stated. And when you kind of read a little bit about his backstory and his prior experience in relationships, it felt that way. So those are some ace and demisexual representation in books. I hope that you may have found something that you would like to read or try. And if you have any recommendations for me, please, please, please leave them down below, because I would love more. Like, I'm actively searching. And particularly if you have other rep on the ace spectrum as well that you highly recommend, I would love those recs. I'm doing my research, but I mean, if you guys are here, you probably follow my channel, so you kind of know what I like. If you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a purple heart emoji. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.